So hello guys, welcome back to another video. This is lecture number 20 of our React Mastery course. In the previous lecture, we learnt about something called use state. Basically, we did not learn about it, but we learnt how can we write code of use state so that we can solve our stage number first, which is adding animals like this. And in the current lecture, we are going to learn that what does this syntax really means. So state, data that changes as the user interacts with our app. What does state system do is that it changes the user okay, so what does state system do is that it changes the data as the user interacts with our app. So you can see that in this case, as the user interact with the button, like clicking on the add animal button, we change this number which is currently 0, and whenever the user clicks on this add animals button, every time we increment it by 1. So this is one part of state system, and when this data changes, React will update and when this data changes, React will update content on the screen automatically. So when we click on add animals button, it is the work of React to change the number from 0 to 1 and increment it like so on. And a state system is the one and only way by which we can change what content React shows. So if we want to suppose that we think that we can change the content of count, which is 0 here, by any other method, we can't do that. React state system is the only way in which we can do that. And now we will understand that what does this syntax really mean. So there are total of 4 steps, out of which the first step is defining a piece of state with the use state function. So as you can see that in the first step, we are defining constant count and set count. Here we are using array destructuring, and then we are setting it equal to use state, and here we are putting 0. So what 0 is? 0 is the value of use state function, and this will be used as a base value whenever the app re-renders or whenever the app renders for the first time. Let us understand the first syntax because it is very complex and important at the same time. So here what does it says? There are two things, count and set counts, and this is called array destructuring. It means that we are extracting the two variables from the use state function. Array destructuring is a fancy way to get access to the piece of state plus setter. What setter is? Setter is this set count. It is called as setter function because it changes the value of count. Currently the value of count is 0, and whenever this set count is triggered, it will change the value of count accordingly. Like in this example, in our previous code, we set count bracket count plus 1. So this means that whenever the set count is triggered, it will increase the count by 1. And the piece of state, count is the piece of state. So here count refers to 0. The piece of state starts as 0 and changes over time. So basically it is not fixed that it will always start with 0. For example, if we change this, suppose 99, and we save this, now when our app renders, it will show us 99 from the start, and then when we click on add animals button, it will increase the it will increase the number from 99 onwards, from 99, 100 and so on. We can also set any other number like 50, and it will work in a similar way. And 0 here is the default value for this piece of state, which is count. So count refers to this, and set count is called setter function, which changes the value of count whenever it is triggered. Now we have learned about first and second steps. That first step is define a piece of state with the use state function as we are doing over here, and second is give a value to the use state function. In this case we are giving it value of 0. This is the default starting value for our piece of state, and whenever our component renders it will show us 0 from the starting, and when we click on add animals button it will increment by 1 every time. And the third step is that we have to use the state in some way in our component, often in the return JSX. So in this case we are returning count, which is currently 0, by using curly braces inside our JSX code. And number fourth and the last step is when user does something, update the piece of state, causes React to re-render the component. So this means that when user does something or when set count function is triggered, we will do something to the count variable. In this example which we are doing right here, what we are doing is that when the user clicks on add animal button, we are running a function called handle click, and what handle click does, it triggers set count and force it to set the count to 1. It forced the set count to increment the count with 1. So let us suppose that if the count is 0, then it will increase it by 1. If we click on add animals button, what happens, that handle click function gets triggered because of the event listener on click, and when handle click function gets triggered, it triggers the set count setter function, which forces the count to increase by 1. If we write 2 here, then the count will increase every time by 2. You can see 1, 3, 5. So this is how it works. And this was a basic overview of state systems. And this was all for today. Thank you guys for watching.